There's so many things that I want to thank you for. Lord, I thank you for your grace. I thank you for your mercy, God. I thank you for your love. Thank you for favor, oh God. God, if I had 10,000 tongues, I couldn't say enough thank yous, and I couldn't praise you enough. So in this song, I'll simply tell you I love you. And God, I thank you for everything you've done. Lord, there's so many things that you've done for me. Blessings unconditional, they seem to overtake me. Your hand of mercy proving faithful and true. Jesus, how can I express my thanks to you for your grace and kindness, oh, agent of days. I'll give you thanks, oh Lord, now and always. Oh, I just want to say thank you for your love. Thank you. Thank you for the blood. Thanks to you for all of the times that you brought me through. Lord, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your grace. Thank you, Lord, for keeping me safe. Thanks to you that I can share the good news of a Savior, to give someone a reason just to tell you thanks. Oh Lord, yeah. Thank you, Lord. Lord, it's not enough to give a simple praise to the one who has blessed me in so many ways. Nothing I can say or do could really show my gratitude to you, Lord. One God, one love, one faith. To you I give you praise. Three blessed Trinity, you mean so much to me. And you showered me with love, even when I turned away. Lord, I could never repay you, so I'll just say thank you for your love. Thank you for the blood. For all of the times that you brought me through. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your grace. Thank you, Lord, for keeping me safe. Thanks to you that I can share the good news of a Savior, to give someone a reason just to tell you for your love. Lord, I thank you for the blood. Thanks to you for all of the times that you brought me through. Lord, I thank you for your grace. Lord, for keeping me safe. And I can share the good news of a Savior, give someone a reason just to tell you thanks. Oh Lord, thank you.
All right. Truly, the real you loves you because the real you is
Love.
the real you is love. And good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Truly Live with your co-hosts and founders of Truly, OB, Oliver,
Yolanda. If you
and
don't turn that off, it's going to keep
and
going.
we're so delighted to be here because we have something very special for you all tonight. Got a special guest that we're sharing our stage with, and we're just excited with what she's going to bring, the value that she's going to bring to our listeners. And so, uh, can we pause for a second
To do?
to do a proper greeting?
Hello.
Well, hello, sweetie.
Hi, dear.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We've been like two people passing in the night.
We can't even say we're passing in the night because I haven't seen
You
you.
haven't even been
Yeah, I
here.
haven't been here.
Wow. Well, listen, let me properly greet you. Hi, sweetie.
Hi, darling.
All right. Okay.
Ooh.
Ooh. All right. And so, welcome everyone. And tonight we're going to be, we're going to be sharing our stage tonight with someone that's near and dear to us, and someone that is very passionate about what she does, and she's really making a difference in the world, using her gifts, her talent, her expertise, her energy. She uses everything, and we're just going to be very brief here, and we're going to bring our guest on here. But just for those that are maybe viewing us for the first time, we are here bi-weekly, and this is just one of the ways that we add value and build goodwill in the digital communities that we serve. And we are here to bring relative information, a little bit of inspiration,
And a whole lot of love.
a whole lot of love, right? And we sprinkle in a little transformation in there. And so I think with the experience tonight, as you join us, some of us going to be transformed in our thinking and our awareness. We're going to expand our knowledge so that we can make the best decisions for our lives.
Yes.
And I always want to acknowledge my mom and Yolanda's dad. Hello, mother. I know she's watching.
And Mama Blue.
And
We know she's watching.
yes, and you've been pretty busy this week with your dad,
Yeah, I've been with
and
my
with
dad.
your and with me just a little bit,
Well,
right?
just a tiny bit with
Right.
you, but with my dad most of the week. So,
Yes.
well,
Yeah.
it's been 7 days.
7 days, but we got him back home.
Well, he will be home
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
All
Yeah,
right.
he'll be back home tomorrow.
Right. So you've been like going from one end of the state to the other.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here. We're glad that our viewers are here.
Yes.
If there's any patrons here, just let us know in the chat. We got any visitors here?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
use the comment field, the chat field. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube channels. So we're in these digital streets tonight, and we're going to be talking and sharing and having conversation around the topic of health. And we got someone that knows something about that subject, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah. So, without any further delay, we're going to bring our guest.
Let's bring her on.
Okay, we're going to bring on. She's backstage. I see her back there smiling.
And then I'm going to give her a proper introduction. So go ahead and bring her on.
All right.
Let's give her a proper introduction. Hello, Miki.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello, good evening. I am well.
Very good to see you. Okay, so tonight we have Miki. She's a wife and a mom of four. She's always been passionate about health, and that originated during her active childhood in a small village in Congo. She moved to Canada at the age of 12 and pursued an undergraduate degree in nursing. Later, she continued her education to become an osteopath. Throughout her career, she developed a deep love and dedication to women's health. As an integrated health coach, Miki focuses on serving women, particularly those of minority groups, who often face misunderstandings while dealing with hormonal issues, especially during the menopausal transition. She strongly believes that every woman should have a comprehensive knowledge and understanding about her body so that she can make informed decisions. Mickey's expertise lies in helping high achieving women of color, age 30 and above. Her coaching aims to help them lose weight, improve focus, and alleviate menstrual pain without relying on medication. She is committed to empowering women to take control of their health and well being. Hello, Mickey.
Hello, thank you for the introduction.
We're so glad you're here.
Well,
Well,
I'm so glad to see you.
yeah, well, we couldn't have made that up. And maybe you can share with us how you go from the Congo to Canada to the US, osteopath, nursing, now integrated health coach. You couldn't have drew that up, and you probably can't find another person on this planet that has that same path as you did.
Well, so I was born in Congo. My dad, so half of my family is Congolese, and my mom is Chinese from Vietnam. They met in Switzerland, moved in Congo because my dad was working in a development, so rural environment. And so I grew up with like, no electricity, no running water, no TV. We didn't, it wasn't there. So that was life. And then in Congo eventually, the situation, the political situation was really just up and down with a lot of uncertainty back in those days. And so around the year 1990s 1990, yes, 1990s, that's when we moved to Canada as refugees. We didn't know that we were going to be refugees. So when we were in Canada, that's when the civil war started in Congo. So then Canada became the new home. And that's when I studied. That's when I met my husband. And then eventually we moved here in the US. That's like, a blurb of what has happened in my life. But, all those experiences are there for a reason, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
now I know exactly what a refugee goes through, right? Like I know what racism looks like
Mhm.
because I've been in these situations, and I know what it is to have to adapt quickly and not to have your family around anymore, not to have that support, right? It feels
Yeah.
how lonely you are. And so it's just been part of my story. And now, I relate a lot to the minority because this is where I am, right? Like in every setting that I go, I'm usually the minority. And I'm extremely passionate about women's health because I believe that, the woman is the heart of the society. She has the power to influence her children, and so she has the power to transform multiple generations if
Mhm.
she puts the right tools in her hands. And right now in the US, which is my home now, we know that we're struggling a lot. So that's why this mission that I have now, it's really, really near and dear to me.
Yeah,
Outstanding.
well, you said it right. There is a tremendous health crisis, health struggle here in these United States, which we say is so rich with resources, and it
Yeah.
puzzles me. And just the other day, I had to go to the hospital for some preventive work, and I can't find the parking space in the parking deck.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm saying, and I was like, and I know everyone's not there for preventive work,
Yes.
but thank God for medicine itself. But I'm,
Yes.
I'm saying something is not quite right with that picture for me. That's what I felt in my heart. And I think that somewhere along the line, we're not informed,
Hmm.
or if we are informed, we're not taking the proper action in that. And so it is so needed in our communities, not only just the minorities and the people of color, but in all the communities,
In
because
all the
I saw
communities.
people from all walks of life at that hospital. And uh, if we, in many cases, if we just knew what to do, then we would do better. So your being here tonight is relevant and going to help add some value to our community and the people that are listening. And so how did you through that journey, how did medicine come in? How did the
It's so I you know how people go around and they're saying like I don't know what I'm going to do in life. That has never been my problem. For a very young age, I just had like this incredible curiosity towards health. And I was just this young child in Congo that just was very into health. And I remember for one of my birthday, my parents offered me, I think I was 7, they offered me a first aid kit. And this is what, we're like in the village. So that aid kit, it's like gold. Like
Yeah.
it's gold. No one else
Yeah.
has that, right? Like no one else has that. It's like so precious. And so I got to be like the little doctor in our neighborhood because now people were coming. They knew I could do dressing on wounds. And so I would treat those wounds. I remember giving like penicillin as well. Like all of those things. And it was just something that comes very naturally to me. It is a gift. It's a gift for me to be able to understand health as much as I do and to see different interactions. And then of course later on to actually go into nursing, to fall in love with nursing, like literally in love, and then to pursue my education into osteopathy. And just for people that don't know what
Yes.
osteopathy is, right? Because
Yes.
I figure that here in the US, it's very different. So if you were in Europe, New Zealand, Canada, we're called osteopath. Here in US, we are called doctor in osteopathy. And mainly, it looks a lot like a chiropractor, so a doctor in chiropractic, but except that we do less of the manipulations. We're more like the detective on the human body, where we're looking for the root cause. If it's the organs, we'll treat the organs. So it's a lot of knowing the anatomy, knowing how everything interacts together. So for me, this was really bliss because I get now to move along beyond the symptoms,
Yeah.
right? Because most of the time people will be, I'm having a headache, let's take Tylenol. And you're like, well, there is a reason why your body is expressing a headache right now. Let's go look and find out why you're having that so that you now can mitigate the real issue here instead of always patching and
That's
moving.
right. Yeah.
So coming back to Oliver, what you were saying is that we live in this paradigm where we're so good at healing. The technology right now is so advanced compared to what we were used to have, right? Like all those heart surgery, all those complicated cases of cancer and all of that. We are so good on one end at healing. Yet the other part of prevention, like you were saying, it's like it's been left on the side. We
Yes.
haven't been as active at prevention and promoting health promotion so that instead of waiting for people to be sick, why not keep them as healthy as we can so that we spend less time into healing actually, because healing is expensive, not only to the person, the family, and everyone around them, but to our society. It has a
Yes.
and
Yes.
the way the US is going right now, we don't know what in 20 years things are going to look like if we don't shift things right now. Like we actually have to shift gears in order for our kids and for you, your grandchildren, to have a different reality.
Exactly. And we when Oliver went over for his scheduled procedure, it was just amazing how easily the doctor, was discouraging him from using the natural
Yes.
products that he uses, and he was, saying, "Oh no, no, you need to use this and don't do that anymore," and the whole 9 yards. But we're not going to get into that tonight because we
Well,
really want to. That's something that I could talk about for a long time. But anyway, but we really want to get into um, your area of expertise. I had the privilege and honor of participating in one of Miki's master classes
yes.
recently, and I thought the way that you explained um, the hormones and how everything works. I thought that that was very, well, number one, it was creative, but it's also a way to really get women to think differently and to understand what's going on.
Yes.
So, why don't you jump into? Did you want to say anything else
No,
first? Okay.
no, this is her. This is her
Yeah,
time.
yeah. So why don't you jump into it and tell us what it is that you want us to our audience to be able to experience tonight?
Very well. So I thank you for coming to the masterclass. I always love teaching, and it was a real pleasure to have you and some of your family members.
Yes,
It was really a treat for me as well. My main message to the woman is that we have to know better our hormones, right? Like in order for you to improve your health, you have to know it yourself because you are the one living with your body 24 hours a day. It's almost unfair for you to expect your doctor to know better than you what is
that's
going on inside of you, right?
right.
And so this needs to be addressed, and it sounds complicated, but it's not as complicated.
Hmm.
One of the way that I like, do you want me to share about the school of hormones?
Yes, I would love you to share that.
So the school of hormones came about, as I was explaining, to my daughters and sons, because I have, I feel like both male and female should know this. Like it's not
Yes.
just a female thing, because most males will live with a female in their life. You better just know how it works.
Well, Mickey, don't we have hormones?
Yes, right? You do. And men also have estrogen and progesterone.
Yes, they do.
That they do. It's not just testosterone, just like women have testosterone as well.
That's
So
right.
all of that needs to be, we need to be just better educated. So I picture your hormones like a school system. We have the principal at the top, which we'll name her Mrs. Oxytocin. Then we have the vice principal, which we're going to call her Mrs. Cortisol. Then we have the secretary, which is Miss Insulin. Then at the bottom, we have the teachers, which are Mrs. Progesterone, Estrogen, Mrs. Testosterone. That school has only 3 teachers for now to keep it simple because there's a lot more.
Hmm.
But those 3 teachers are the ones that are interesting to us. Then underneath that, we have our, 32 trillion cells, right? This is the human body. So this is the hierarchy of hormone. It's really how it works. Mrs. Oxytocin, the principal, gets to direct everyone. She affects everyone's life. She is peaceful. She is love, calm. She is the reason why you and I are still on earth. She's the
Hmm.
reason why a mother forgets the pain of the labor itself. Like ask any woman, do you actually remember exactly? No, we don't. We don't remember because Mrs. Citizen comes in and kicks all the memory out, and it's like this blubbery thing we don't remember. We're just so in love with this baby. That's why humans have kept, and we are keeping making babies
Hmm.
because of her.
Hmm.
And so she's the one really that sets the tone for connection. She's the
Hmm.
form of connection. The next one, vice principal, Mrs. Cortisol, she's there for the emergency. She is so good. She's an expert at what she does. Whenever there's a stressful situation at school, she comes on and she's right into it. She knows what to do. She's really there for crisis. And
Hmm.
so when we are stressed, Mrs. Cortisol comes out. She's into action, like she's ready. She does 2 things. She tells you we can fight or we can fly, so we can run away. But those are action things. So she's very, very extreme in what she does because she's there for the survival. Now, the tricky thing here is that for most of us, our brain doesn't make a difference between, being stuck in traffic and a lion really running after us. We are still going to have Mrs. Cortisol coming and saving us just the same. Then we have Mrs. Anselin. Mrs. Anselin, who's the secretary. She works very closely with the vice president. So she comes and she has the keys. She knows all the students. She knows all the teachers. So she influences everyone. She's there to make sure that energy gets to the right places in terms of crisis. And so Mrs. Anselin, when Mrs. Cortisol comes out, Mrs. Anselin is right on her tail. They're there, they're always working together. Mrs. Anson's role is to make sure that we always have energy, meaning that If we are in crisis, energy needs to be there for us to run away or to fight.
Mhm.
And what she does is that she's going to store that energy as fat because the tiger might come back. You never know, right? In a jungle, it might come after you. If it didn't get you this time, it's super smart. It might come again. And so she stores that energy as fat. Now, in our modern life, whether you're stuck in traffic or you're like late for school, that level of stress that you have, you're still going to produce cortisol. She's going to come. Now, most of us, you know, we're stuck in traffic. Now we're in a car. So we're not moving. We're not spending that energy. So then it goes back and it's stuck as fat. That's why it's so hard to lose weight when we
Mhm.
are constantly stressed. It's
Mhm.
almost impossible to lose weight when we're stressed because cortisol does its job at bringing the level high, insulin comes and
And
stores the fat.
stores it. Mhm.
It stores it because we never know when the tiger's gonna come. So it's there. Then now, whenever we are in crisis, just like in the school, picture this. If the alarm goes, like let's say there's like a fire and all, are the class gonna still be working properly? No, there's going to be a disturbance. All those teachers are just not going to teach if there's a fire, there's a crisis. No teaching is happening. And so, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, they're just quiet. They're telling their student, hey, we stay quiet. No, we're not doing math. No, we're not doing English. No, 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 put your things away. Like we're going to exit the room or we're going to do something, but we're not teaching. In our human body, this means that every time that cortisol is out and that insulin is up, it means that sex hormones they go down. They are not expressing themselves. So then the students that are underneath are not getting the instruction or the education that they came to get. So they're
Mhm.
not receiving the hormones that they need, mostly because now all this interaction is going on. It's a crisis. An easy way to think about it is also if the tiger is running after you, is it the time to make babies? No, no, like who's gonna stop to make babies? No, not. So there's no point producing all those fantastic hormones. They are fantastic. We need them and all. But if
Mhm.
we're always living in a crisis, they're not going to come around because that's not the priority. And the other thing is also, we have to understand those same hormones, they work so fast, right? It starts in your brain. Oxytocin gets to release, like it starts in your brain. So the brain sees, it hears things, it smells, it receives information, and it receives perceived stress. And so if you are perceiving things in a negative way, guess who's going to be the first one to be impacted? Right? It's
Yeah.
always you first. It's always the things inside of you. Your heartbeat is going to go fast, like you can't sleep at night. Like all of that, it's always you first before it gets, before you actually affect someone else. So that's how I love explaining hormones and the impact that they have on us. And also to know that we have the control because we can decide that right now, I'm late for work. I'm already late. And, what can I do in the car now? Maybe I can listen to good music. Maybe I can do deep breathing. Maybe I can call a friend. Maybe I can, maybe I can just do something else than bringing up my stress level right now. And so for women that are going into premenopause, perimenopause, we are so sensitive to stress. So sensitive. A little
Mhm.
bit of stress throws us off the course just because our hormones are going down. So we can't, it's as if we can't even afford that kind of level of stress anymore. Like the way we were living in our 30s and 20s is not applicable in our 40s anymore. And
Mhm.
it's not the way to thrive anymore. So it's just up to us. But the good news is that we have control. We can actually do things to improve our health at any given time.
Wow. So I thought that that was such a neat way to, first of all, let me say this. So there were some people that said, I didn't know we had other hormones, and there are so many other hormones. And generally, if you're talking about female health, They only want to talk about estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. No one talks about,
Yeah.
all the others that are in there, and those are the ones that affect us a
They,
lot.
they,
The second thing about that is the high stress, and now we see the impact of that is so many young people
yes.
who have this incredible amount of stress and not very good skill sets for handling it, are having all sorts of fertility issues.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do. And there's a research that came out. I don't have the exact reference. This research was saying how insulin, so when a woman is having a high level of insulin, all those insulin spikes, right? Not those glucose spike, like you eat a pizza, your blood sugar goes high now. Now insulin has to come high. So
Mhm.
all of those spike, they actually influence directly your ovaries. And the
Mhm.
message that it sends to your ovaries is that this human body is not doing proper function right now.
Yeah.
Like we have to understand that we work as a whole. It's very hard to just say, oh, the heart is doing this. No, the heart is not just doing this. The heart affects the brain, it affects the rest, it affects the diaphragm. Everything is just so intertwined that
Yes.
you can't isolate one thing and think that it won't affect the rest.
I love that.
Yeah. So you just to me you're describing this very sophisticated system called the
Yes.
body, right?
Yes.
And it sounds like we're these chemical factories,
We are.
right? That everything is connected,
Mhm.
and that our mindset and our thoughts or our state of being or our perception is what's triggering the movement of these chemicals or the lack of them. So how
Yes.
do you, when you are working with clients as a coach, and by the way, if you joined us late, we're here
Yes.
with Miki, who is sharing with us her passion for helping women to empower themselves to take control of their health, right?
That's right.
And
Especially minority women,
yes,
and then the area of hormonal issues, because
Yes.
women have a lot of issues with those.
right. So in that coaching space that you're in, you get this client that comes because they're having some health issue. And how does that process work to get them to their outcome?
Oh, I love this question. So, what is so fascinating and great about coaching? What I love about coaching is I get to have this time, right? Compared to where you're like in a medical world or like when I was working as a nurse, you have very limited time with your patient. I have the luxury now of working as a coach and creating this space for us to have this conversation to really get to the root cause. I love knowing. So my first step is always, what is your main complaint? And then we peel the layers because there's several layers, right? And we know that there's symptoms, right? Yes, I'm overweight. Yes, you're overweight. There's a reason. Let's go peel out what else comes with that. How is that affecting your life? And then eventually we'll get to your family history because we are often the result of our family history, especially for women. I love to know, what are the other feminine issues that's been going between, mother, grandma, aunts, cousin, all of them. Like we're doing this huge genealogical thing that's going on and figuring out is there a pattern in the family. So if you've been having like, if she tells me, yeah, all of the aunts are obese, grandma is obese, mom is obese, well, it's not surprising now that you are also having that. Have people have been dealing with fibroids? Have they having like terrible period like cramping and anemia? Have they having breast cysts, breast cancer, uterine cancer? All of those things come along, and it gives me at least a pattern of what is happening and where their cells, how the environment is created inside.
Hmm.
The minority, what I found, and Oliver, you were touching on mindset. Mindset is a very broad word, and yet it is true. We affect the way we think, really affect how the body will interact.
Hmm.
It changes the biochemistry. There is a very special gland. in between our eyebrows, right there. If people are familiar with yoga, they will say that it's like, and meditation, they'll say it's the third
The
eye.
third eye. Mm-hmm.
The third eye right there, it's the pineal gland. She's
Mm-hmm.
big as a pea. This lady is big as a pea, and she affects our whole existence. She's right there, so tiny, yet
Mm-hmm.
she sees, she hears, she smells, she receives all of our perception. And so for many of the minority women, what comes into it, it's also trauma and past trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever has been going on in your family, how we perceive things, right? Um, the little expression that we hear often about how the world is, everything, everything comes into play, and then it affects ourselves. So there's a lot of work when they are ready for my clients. This is one of the things that I will point out. Like, this is a pattern of your family. What is also the history of your family? Where are you from? You know, yes, there's been slavery in your family. So just know that this is also part of how you are right now, where you are right now. Also, what are the major life events that's been happening? Because everything affects
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so after we do this history, I call them, my three pillar of health. We have to detox our body, we detox our mind as well, meaning like they have to go through their relationship and find. And for a lot of people, it's also your personal relationship, self to self and self with God. You know, how are you treating the divinity inside of you? How are you treating the daughter of God that you are?
Mm-hmm.
Because you just know inside that if you've been out of the alignment, things are not going to go as well. So we're working on getting back in alignment as well with what's divine in us, and and reinforcing the relationship with our creator. And then after that, it's a lot about establishing wellness or healthier habits. Our relationship with food, how do you see food? Is it discomfort that you're having? Is it this love story that you have with this bag of chips, and where the purpose of it? So it's a lot of education around that, because you know we love food,
Mm-hmm.
and it's part of our gatherings, it's part of our tradition. There's just so much emotion, memories, all of that is great. And I do think also that for our children and for the next generation, we as adults have to change the narrative around food, so that
Yes.
we create better, so that we create greater habits around it, so that they will actually be a stronger generation. So there's that. And then lastly, I we talk a lot about specific habits as we're going into perimenopause, which will be, it's exercising, always exercising, it's sleeping. Those are basic things that we know. Yet we will be the first one at skipping those things, right? That's not big news that exercise is important. But how you exercise is also important. And according to your cycle, if you're still having a cycle, and when to exercise is also important. Then I talk about fasting. We use fasting as a tool to regulate Mrs. Insulin. That's major, because we know that she's the key factor in
Mm-hmm.
how our, the rest of the teacher are expressing themselves. So we're keeping her really in check, because if she's not in check, she's the one that gives you the night sweats, the hot flashes. She will throw you off. You'll have terrible PMSs. Like, she messes up with your thinking. Like, she makes you cranky. Like, all of those things. So really, we have to get her in check.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I usually talk to my ladies saying, like, you have to become the CEO of this body of yours. There's just one CEO, and it's you. Get everyone in check. Like, everyone has to do their job,
Yeah.
and they can do their job properly. If the head, if the CEO, is doing the right job, the rest of them are going to follow as well.
So the
Outstanding.
approach of waiting until something or some crisis happen, and then we give all of our
Attention.
power and attention, or
Yeah.
give all our power over to the medical community to say, hey, something's broken, I don't know what it is, but I need it fixed because it's pain, these symptoms.
Yes,
And that seemed to be the pattern
it is a pattern,
that
right?
our culture is in, male and female, right?
Mhm.
Yes,
And so
both,
it's more,
both.
yeah. So it's more of a reaction versus prevention.
And you are right. We just have to look at a statistic. Let's just take, autoimmune diseases. 80% of the people that are having autoimmune diseases are women. 80%.
Wow.
It's not 50% men, 50% women. It's 80% women. Then, in terms of overweight and obesity, it's again the women that are more. And into the African American community, 3 on 4 women are overweight or obese. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. We've never had such bad numbers than now. And so when we're looking at this, regardless of ethnicity, everything, the women are really the group of women. As a group of women, we are really struggling with our health. And I think that this comes mostly from our modern world, right?
Hmm.
I love modernity. Trust me, I am always grateful for a shower, running water, and electricity, all of that. I will not go back to my village, right? Like, I'm super grateful for the computer, cell phone. All of that is fantastic. And at the same time, we have gone into living not the way the human body thrive. Like, we were not supposed, like, we weren't made for such comfort. We weren't made to thrive in an environment where food is so accessible. Like, we have this abundance that it's ruining us right now because we're not able to control it, right? Like, our earlier parents, like, they had to work hard for their food. They weren't, they didn't have this like Costco size thing to go in and just go and you're grabbing whatever you want all year long. Like, it wasn't like this. Oranges were just during summer if you live in Florida, you know.
Hmm.
If you were up north, no, you didn't have oranges.
Hmm.
They were making their way there. So now eating oranges, like 1, 2, 3, like in large quantities, like all of this have to come back to like, how are we supposed to adapt ourselves to abundance? And so this modernity comes also with a lot of processed food. Now we know that processed food is not good, yet we go to it because of all the chemicals that have changed us and changed our cells. And for women, and I think that's the main reason why we're so affected, is that there's a lot of those processed food that literally comes into our cells and mimic estrogen.
Hmm.
And that is, it's a disaster for us because now not only are we producing our own estrogen, now we're getting mimicking estrogen from our environment. And then it's just like this huge storm of hormones that are dysregulated. That's why we will have more PCOS. That's why we're having more young girls having trouble with their period right now. That's why we have more obesity as well. Like, so all of that is playing together. And so I just think that we have to become more responsible, good stewardship of being so blessed, right? Like, we are in this, like, what else do we need if we're living in such an abundance period? Do we really just need to be sick to teach us that we have to do things differently? And we are, I mean, my generation is actually the first generation that's not going to live as long as their parents. So this means that if my generation wants to make it as far as grandma, it means that my generation has to have do constant effort into staying healthy. It's not even a choice. If you don't do it, you will go down. Like, you're not gonna have that longevity that grandma had.
Wow.
Like, this is the first time in all history that is happening, that we are reverting. It's the first time. We've never had that before. Never.
Wow. So modernity has its tremendous value,
Yes.
um, but then there is the on the flip side of that. We could say it's two sides of a coin.
Yes.
There is the other thing that happens. Okay, so when you're talking about how we used to have to work to get our food. I grew up on a farm, so I'm
Yes.
very,
You
very,
know that. Yes.
very familiar and aware of, this is why you weren't haphazard with food, because you had to work to get it, and then you had to harvest it, and then you had to do whatever you were going to do in order to be able to preserve it. And this was not done with preservatives. It was just done with a little heat in a jar, and, or it was frozen. But so the convenience
Mm,
that we have um, is actually working against us,
it is.
because the quality of the food and drink, our water sources are polluted as well. The quality of our nourishment is so diminished. So um, when you compound the fact that we don't work hard, and we don't sweat a lot. I mean, so hot flashes is a different kind of sweating
Yes.
than than when you're working or working out.
Exerting
That's a
energy.
different kind of sweating. But we don't work hard, because I remember quick little story. I remember seeing my grandfather, my dad's dad. We grew tobacco. He would come into the curing barn, and he would pull a leaf down, and he
Uh-huh.
would roll it like you would roll a cigar. And he would, do everything that has to be done. You bite off the end and then you smoke it. He would do that with a leaf just pure. And I'm
Yes.
thinking, but he lived a long time.
Yes.
The difference is there was not all of the additives and chemicals and fillers and all that stuff that goes. I used to work at a, well, I won't say the name of, but I used to work at a place that manufactured those kinds of things. But he worked hard. He was out. He was
Mhm.
physical in his labor. So
Yes.
that's the opportunity to sweat and to relieve toxins and that kind of. He's getting fresh air because he's outside in the in the elements. I mean, all the things that we do now in buildings, there's the filtration or the recycling of. There's just so much that we do, which is all of our great modernity, which we love, because this girl's idea of camping is going to a like a 3-star hotel. Okay, that's
Yes.
my idea of camping. I'm not going out into the elements anymore. But we do have, we pay for all of this, and
Yes.
we pay for it in the fact that everything we put into our bodies is changing our body chemistry.
Yes. Absolutely. And the way we work,
Yep.
right? The way we think, the
Yes.
product that we put on our skins,
Yes.
and not only the food, the water you were saying, the air that we breathe. And
Yes.
so we actually have to be very intentional in
Yes.
how we take care of our body. It reminds me that, so I work with CEO executives that have very busy schedule, and those women, they work like 60 to 80 hours a week. Now think about it. The first thing that they do is that they don't sleep enough.
Yes.
They're sleep
Hmm.
deprived for many, many years. They work under tremendous stress. And
Hmm.
so now their cortisol level is
Cortisol.
high there.
Yep.
And so their body is like almost extreme as someone who's been like in a camp or in a war zone. That's
Yeah.
as much stress that their body is handling. And then most of them will have some type of burnout, or if it's not a burnout, they will develop a chronic condition, cancer, or things like that early on, right? Because we were not made to be under those conditions. We weren't made. There is no way that if for 20 years the tiger is running after you. It's not possible for a tiger to run. Not only is not possible for the tiger, it's not
It's
possible
not
for you to run.
for
You have
20 years.
20
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
you like 20 years running in sprinting. No way.
No,
No way.
no.
Like it's not possible.
Yeah.
And so for those people, it's they rarely make it to 55. They know that they have either to switch career or they go on sick leave. That's usually what happens. It's because they can't maintain that kind of health. And for women, it's disastrous because once we come into perimenopause and all and estrogen goes down, now we don't have the protection for our brain anymore. Think of estrogen as like, it's the hormone. Those were the same hormones that were there during pregnancy. All the changes that happens in a woman's body when she's having that baby, that same impact is there when you don't have that hormone. So now you don't have that protective effect on your brain. So they will feel like they're having early dementia, forgetting things, like, really forgetting, like not forgetting just a little bit, like really forgetting things, like forgetting birthday, things like didn't happen before now are like crying to them and they can't, they're losing their minds over that. Now they're not sleeping anymore. So now they will rely on medication to sleep. Now they're more anxious because progesterone is down. Progesterone is a hormone that calms us down. It's an anti-anxiety hormone for women, for the woman's brain. Now it's not there anymore. So now she has to rely on a medication to mitigate that. Now, she's eating under stress. That's another thing as well. We weren't supposed to eat that way. So now everything is not moving well. So there's just so many things, like you were saying, compound things added one on top of another to create the perfect crisis in the human body. And yet all of this is preventable. Like all of that can be prevented. Like all of that could have been mitigated some other way. So there's a shift that we have to make as a society. But until we get there, it's a personal decision for each one of us to actually say, what kind of protection of boundaries do I put around myself to make sure that I sleep, that I eat proper food. I usually tell my clients, if it's processed, read the ingredients. More than 5, it's no good. And then if you need to have a bachelor degree in biochemistry to actually understand the ingredient, that's no good either. Like, it's too much. An apple should just say apple, right? Like not apple fried into this oil. And like apple is apple. So make sure that you're eating real food. And then like those boundaries around work as well. None of us is supposed to be working 24 hours a day or 17 hours a week. It's 80 hours a week or even 60 hours a week. It's not sustainable. It has never been and will never be sustainable in this human body that we have. So there's just those things. And not only that, like your relationship. Where are you with your relationship if you're living this kind of life? Like
Wow.
we know that divorce rate is higher. We know that depression is higher. Anxiety is out of the roof. Like we have all of those markers that are there. And I think that we have to bring it back to the individual and being like, okay, this is the world into which I live, and what are the choices that I will make for me?
Wow. Everything that you said, I got so many takeaways from tonight. But it seems that everything that is negatively affecting us is not coming from within, it's coming from without.
Yes.
And if we don't have the skill set or the knowledge or the wisdom to put in place, right, some structure in terms of our lifestyle of living, just living, because all these things you described are is what where people live.
Yes.
They work,
Yes.
they have families, they live in a community. They are, we live in a political society. We live in an highly charged entertainment society, and there's food places on every corner.
Yes. Literally, right?
Yes. Well, we used to say there's a church on every corner.
Well,
And now,
and even more than that, we don't even have to go to any of those food
Places.
places on the
Right.
corners
They
because the
come to
food
you.
can be delivered to us so
Yeah.
easily.
So Mickey. So if if everything that you have described is external, that's creating the crisis, then what is my in hearing this, and then you said this stuff that's coming into us, it gets inside of us and it mimics.
Yes.
It
It's
mimics.
like it deceives us into thinking we're getting that which is natural and we're not.
We're not. Yeah.
And
So
so,
we won't even talk about artificial sweeteners. I mean that is a whole that's
Yeah.
a whole
yeah,
nother you
You
know
know,
and
it,
the diet drinks that people, that people love to, we won't even get into that, but wow, I just hope that people would take a little time to
Yolanda, I love what you're saying. Like, we don't need the research to be done to know that this is wrong,
yeah.
right? I'm like, it says artificial sweeteners. Since when do you think an artificial thing will actually be good for your body? Right?
I remember when it used to be that the artificial sweetener was the thing that the FDA got the most complaints about for as far as people's reactions to it. Well, and I'm just going to say this really, really quickly. There was a there was a time when you wouldn't that people wouldn't read the side effects when medications are prescribed, and this is over the counter stuff. But now there's so many commercials, and by law they have to actually list those, and they go through them so fast, and it's like, are you hearing what they're saying? And then you're going to oh no.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
we
so so this can be overwhelming to the person that right
Yes.
is just being informed. So where do you start?
Where do you start? I would, everybody starts where they are. You need awareness.
Mhm.
That's the first step. Like, be aware, become aware of where you are right now and how you're feeling. What is your body actually telling you? Don't patch it with medication. Like, if you have a headache, sit down with your headache and just see, how long is it going to take for it to go away? Maybe you just need to go to bed. Maybe you need to drink water. Maybe you need to do some meditation because that job or that thing that's keep ruminating in your thoughts, it's like ruining your sleep. Maybe so sit down a little bit. Like, we just need to be listening to our bodies because it's talking to us, right? All those symptoms, all of that, it's the way your body's communicating with you. You are the CEO of your health. You must hear them, like, hear your symptoms, hear your body. And then from there, decide, like, be in action. You know that certain things are just good for you, like drinking more water. Like, give your food, give your body real food. Those are simple things that we know that we can do. And if you're like running errands, like, avoid stopping at those fast food. Nothing inside of that store is good for you. So be attentive and be proactive into the choices that you're making for
Mhm.
you and your children. Because trust me, they're always watching you, right? Like, I have 4 kids. They're always watching the choices that I make.
Oh yes.
So, and then if you really want to put yourself, get your health back and thriving, get the help, get the proper help. Sit
Mhm.
down with your doctor. If he's not listening to you, if it's not what you want, have a second opinion. Like, go shop around. You shop around for many things. This one, you really have to take it seriously. Go
Mhm.
shop around. You need different opinions. You need to have someone that will actually take the time to listen to you, because what you're saying is important, and what you're saying is actually the truth of what's happening inside of you. So get the proper help.
Wow.
So what is the role of the integrated health coach?
My friend actually came up with integrated health coach because I actually integrate a lot of the things that I've learned over the years. Because I do, it's integrated means that I not only take in account your symptoms, your physical symptoms, yes, but also we're going to go into your gut. What is the gut microbiome doing? How are your thoughts affecting? When I was talking about trauma, emotional health is important. Spiritual health is equally important, right?
Yes.
And all the rest of your being, like the relationship, the things that are important in your life, will be equally into that, into the work that we're going to do together. So integrated health coach is not really just about um, just the food or doing a meal plan for you or things like that. Like, I'm not a weight loss coach. Like, my client will lose weight, but that's a byproduct of becoming healthier, right? It's a byproduct of healing. Like, all of those things will come back into their proper places as you really work on the root cause of what's happening.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
that
that
sound.
that byproduct is incredibly beneficial
Yes,
because it causes the entire body to come back into alignment.
yes,
I don't people are not very aware that the body is actually designed to be able to heal and maintain and regulate itself.
yes,
But because we're in so many different states of all of this high stress, the cortisol, I mean, all that stuff that we're doing, the not sleeping, the not eating properly, all of that, the not exercising, we don't really get to experience that.
Yeah,
But that is an experience that we can
yeah,
have.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I
Wow.
wanted to really get. You've mentioned it just briefly. I'm just going to say the word, and then you share how it lands on you. Dehydration.
yes.
Yeah.
It's a, I think it's a huge problem.
Huge.
We're not understanding that water is the best hydration product out there. Water is water. Our cells work with water. We are made of water inside of
Mhm,
us, right? Let's go back to a baby. What does a baby drink, right?
mhm.
Baby will drink milk. But for those of us who have nursed our babies, we know that that milk changes
Yes.
depending on the level of hydration of the baby and the temperature outside. So hydration needs to happen. And if you're drinking coffee, you cannot count it as hydration, right? Because for 1 cup of coffee, 1 cup of water has to go out to clean that caffeine. So same thing with like all those soft drinks and juices and all. For anything that goes in like that, water will still be excreted. So hydration plays a lot. When someone is dehydrated, we're the first impact that we have is our brain. Our brain is going to struggle. It's going to struggle to concentrate. It's going to struggle, we'll have like crazy cravings. We're looking for that water, but
Mhm,
the word won't come to you that it's water. You may
mhm,
perceive it as food or as like this juice, as this, but it's really water. Your skin will feel different,
mhm.
and it really affects everything inside of us. So a good thing that I actually tell all my clients, we start the day by drinking. And so next to your bed, get yourself like the equivalent of like 2 cups of water. I like to add into it a little bit of fresh lemon juice
Fresh lemon juice. Yeah.
so that we actually help our body get into a rhythm. It will actually cleanse your liver as well. Yeah, we just have to drink water, more water, especially as we're going through the summer.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's what we're actually craving,
Yeah.
Yes.
and we direct that crave to.
Chips or
Yes.
cookies or
Yeah.
dessert or hamburger. This one said he was like, I think I'll have a steak. He doesn't even eat steak.
Listen, yes, I told Yolanda on Sunday because to prepare for my procedure, I had to stop eating any solid food on last Sunday, and then my procedure was Wednesday, so I
Yes.
had actually 3 good days, 2.5 good days of just a total liquid diet.
Mhm.
Yes.
And of course, the first day was, second day, all of a sudden, I got this burst of energy
Hmm.
because my body was no longer had food to digest,
Yeah.
and so all of that focal point now was turned to healing all the other parts of my body, right? And and um and so since my procedure, I told Yolanda, I said, I don't want to lose this feeling, and what I don't want is the 7 pounds I lost right? The 7 pounds that I lost preparing for my procedure on Wednesday. And I said, I don't know when I don't know when or if I ever go back
We will see.
to doing some of the things I was doing.
We'll
You know
see.
what I'm saying? And
Well,
I think, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so I said earlier that I use fasting as
Yeah.
one of the tools that we need. And for men and women, we know that our cells are not as efficient. And trust me, it's not because God has not created us efficient. It's just because we have a lot of junk around ourselves. When
That's
we
right.
get to midlife, the body can't handle it anymore. That's just that, right? And so, um, when we fast, and we see fasting in most of the religions, big religion around the world, right? Our brother Muslim will do Ramadan. We have Lent at the Catholics. We have all kind of fasting that's been happening, and so fasting becomes
Christians do the 40-day
Christian
David
does
fast.
it.
The David fast. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and so so fasting has been around
Yes.
for
Yes.
the longest time. I actually think that, as far as human existed, when we came on Earth, like we were used to fast because it's not every day that we were catching the prey or whatever.
That's
And
right.
it's not every day that you were going in the garden and suddenly the vegetables are like, oh, it's like ready. No, it wasn't like that. So there were actually period of
Time.
famine,
Yeah.
like it was periodical. Things were just into a certain rhythm with us. So our body, coming back to you, Oliver, we thrive in fasting.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
thrive because now, like you said, the blood doesn't go anymore to the digestive system. We're not spending energy down there
That's
digesting.
right.
So now
That's right.
it actually can go and we get to the healing phase. One of the things that I like teaching is that our bodies are constantly detoxing, cleansing, repairing, recycling, and then we get to the regeneration. Regeneration means that it's more than repairing, it means new cells.
New. Yes.
We
Yes.
can only get there if the others have been done, which we
Mhm.
never get to that phase if we're eating all the time, because
Yeah.
anytime that food comes in, it has to be detoxed. It has to
Yes.
go through all the cycle. And so when you fasted like that, Oliver, your body actually had time to go into regeneration. You felt it. And you felt it actually. I was curious to know when you felt that surge of energy. Right after 24 hours, that's usually
Yes.
when it start happening.
Hmm.
So we know that at 24 hours of fast, now research is there to prove it, the lining of our gut gets to be replaced. Stem cells get to be produced there, and then the gut is being repaired. So all of you people that are listening, leaky gut, 24 hours is your friend. 24-hour fast is your friend. This is how you get your gut repair the fastest way. Of
Hmm.
course, as long as you don't put more food into it to actually create the leaks. But that's another subject. So then after that, we can go into other kind of fasting, 36 hour. I love this one for us women who are dealing with the belly fats. This is the one that, we're among 24-hour. Now the body is like, hey, food is not coming in. Let me go now. This is a little bit like the fridge, right? The fridge is empty. Now let's go in the garage. Let's go get the
The
storage. It's time for the storage now. Let's go in the store. What is it that we have there? So we're going into our
Yeah.
storage, our store energy, which is the belly fat. We're getting that energy out of there. And so this is highly detoxifying because most of the time, fat cells are not just fat cells, right? They are actually storing toxins away from the circulation. They are
Mhm.
protecting us. And so when you fast 36 hours, you can go onto my Facebook page. I explain there's specific ways of doing that in order for you to do it safely. So just know that toxins are also going to be released and you want them to exit at the same
Mhm.
time as this energy is being burned for 8 hours. This is like I love this one for a dopamine reset. It helps your brain. So now, dopamine, it's a pleasure hormone, right? Every time that neuroreceptors, every time that we're having a like on a phone or a message, the ding, 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 that's a dopamine. And so it stops the addiction. So if you are addicted to sugar, things like that, it gets to be reset. So instead of having like, you know, People will be like, oh, now I need to eat 10 cookies in order to really feel satisfied. Now that one cookie will be actually enough because you've reset your dopamine level. You're back. And actually, whatever you're eating after a fast becomes your favorite food. And so be very strategic,
Is that?
right?
Yes, yes.
Be very strategic. After 24-hour fast, hey, let's have the true food on the table. Let's have the broccoli. Let's have this. Let's have that. Let's have the salmon. Because now this is going to be what the body is going to recognize as the real thing because the dopamine receptor has been reset. So, and then you go on 72-hour, Oliver. I love using this one for deep healing. This will be for, people that have autoimmune diseases, lingering pain, arthritis, pain everywhere, like into their cell. They don't know fibromyalgia, like it's all over the place. But at 72 hours, our body goes and produces stem cells. Stem cells are the cells that are so special, right? This is the one that gets to be transformed, and
Right.
wherever they go, they produce new tissues. Stem cells, people pay a fortune for stem cells, right? They get it from like the placenta
Yeah.
from the
Hmm.
babies. We have the capacity of producing our own stem cell only when we go above 72 hours. Because now your body's saying, hey, maybe we just have to be efficient with everybody that's still alive now. We have to be efficient. So let's just pump out some stem cells there and just do repairs to whatever. So for me, I had an old injury of like an ankle that didn't heal well over the years. And it's only after 72 hours that actually that pain had disappeared. Mind you, that pain had been there for 10 years,
Wow.
and it's the 72 hours that literally got rid of it. So this is
Wow.
super helpful for ladies that have been having like, lingering pain for like epidural in the back. They're like, back pain since I had the baby, da da da, like 72 hours. Things like that will go on. So the longest one that I coach people into, and this is specific. So please, if you're listening, you cannot do it alone. You
Mhm.
know, be very mindful of that. This is like the 5 days water fast, and all of those fasts that I've been talking about are with water. 5 days. I use it for people with autoimmune diseases.
Mhm.
Again, we're going there because we want the stem
I
cells.
already got it up.
We
Right.
want the
That's
we,
let
we
me just.
want the inflammation to go down. We want all of those benefits. And so, yes, fasting is an incredible, incredible tool. And guess what? It's free, people.
It's free.
Wow.
It's free. I'm telling you, it's free.
That's right.
And
Wow.
water and
You know,
sleep is free.
sleep is free. No one is making money on it.
Yeah. Wow.
It's free. And it's always been there. It's even in the scriptures. As if God have intended it for us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. 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 Yes.
This has been an amazing reminder that we just got off course
Yeah.
as a species, right? We have
Yes.
just gotten off course and got caught up into this fast life, this culture that's been you know created, and it has just created a crisis where people's health are concerned, men and women.
Yes. Man and woman. Yeah.
And unfortunately, we are out of time to get more deep into this. So we're going to have to stick a pin in it, but we're going to have to invite you back.
Yes. Please.
I would
Please come back.
love to.
And maybe when we come back, we can be a little more laser, or we may
Yes.
even bring some people that would want to maybe have some
Well,
spot.
well,
Yeah,
we'll work on those details.
we'll work on the
I know where you're
details.
going there. We'll work on those
Yes,
details.
yes, but
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I've been putting up your contacts. You specifically mentioned Facebook. but I've
Yeah.
been putting all of them up. The website is there. That's foundation. The website, her IG. Let's see. I'll do this one
So the
down here.
website is on the screen now. If you'd
Yes.
like to reach, these are ways that you can reach out to Miki.
Hmm.
Yes.
If you have an interest in going a little deeper uh, with her and learning something more about her, what her offerings are, because she is a coach. This is what she does professionally,
Yes.
and but she's a very passionate coach, and she's very passionate about
Mhm.
empowering women in the area of health. And
Yes.
so, if any of this resonated with you, and oh, by the way, hello, some of my patrons are in the
Yes.
chat,
Hi, patrons.
and but if there are, hey, maybe we'll bring her in our patrons community.
Oh, yes. That would be a great thing to
That would
do.
be a great
Well,
thing.
yeah.
Yes,
Well,
yes, because we have our own
yeah.
private community, patrons that support us in our work that we do, and one of the benefits that they get from being a patron is, they get a lot of things that go on behind the scene, and
And they
sometimes we bring our guests behind
yeah,
the scene
and they get our patron community. They benefit from laser coaching with
with
us.
us. Yes,
So I mean, membership has its privileges.
Yeah.
So, but
but
yeah, that would be great.
yes, yes.
That
So
would be great.
some things to consider, but
Yeah.
but we have to continue this conversation in
Yes.
some kind of form. But what's
Yeah.
important, if you are out there and if any of this resonated with you, and if you would like to find out more details about, how uh, Miki um, process clients or bring clients in, and how she worked one on one or with groups,
And how she can
and
support
how you can
how she can
support.
support you
Yes,
in reaching your
optimal.
mental,
Yeah,
physical, because the thing is, if she helps you with your physical um, health goals, it's going to affect your mental
Oh
state.
yeah.
It's going to affect your spiritual state. It's going to increase your relationships, because all of it is connected.
all of it's
All
connected.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
This was so neat. Her workshop, her masterclass was phenomenal. I was like, oh my goodness, and I was like, oh my goodness, and I was like, oh my goodness, and she kept hitting. It was like she was ringing a bell, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, raise my hand. That was me. I was like, oh, raise my hand. That's me. I was like, oh, raise my hand. That was me. Oh wow. So very. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your experience with
Yes,
us.
yes, and you
You're welcome.
and you certainly confirm what I've been thinking in terms of uh, making some transitional changes in my own personal life for as my health is
It was
concerned. So,
funny that he was saying that this was going to be his last chance to eat. And he was like, I don't know. I think I'll go get a steak, which of course I didn't
oh
even
yeah,
bat an eye at, because we don't eat like that. He doesn't eat a steak. And, I think the bigger thing for him was that he couldn't even eat his raw fruits and vegetables, because he starts every morning with a big plate of raw fruit, and he couldn't even do that. And so he was like, what am I going to eat? He's like, I have to eat meat. And I was like, and applesauce.
yeah,
But he did very well, because he didn't have a whole lot of gunk.
Yes.
It was not an uncomfortable process for him. Even the not eating and then just going to liquid, it wasn't uncomfortable for him, because he wasn't all so.
yeah.
And then Mickey, sometimes when we see you, I'll show you a couple of the videos that I took. He was a chatty patty when he was coming out of anesthesia. It was so fun. We're gonna share that with some of our patrons. Will get to see some of that. That was so funny.
That's some good sleep, man.
So he said that's some of the best sleep I've ever had in my life, and I was like, wow.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. That's what people say every time they come out.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, wow.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Mickey. Mickey, we want you to just hang around, because we want to talk with you after this is over. Um, thank you guys so much for being with us. We're going to do like we always do.
Yes.
We bless all of you who've joined with us. We bless you and those that you hold near and dear in your heart.
So may you be truly happy.
May you live in peace.
May you live in love.
May you know the power of forgiveness.
And may you live in the recognition that your life has deep meaning and good purpose.
That's the Dalai Lama's loving kindness meditation that we say as a prayer for all of you all the time. And then Oliver and I add to that, may you live in the awareness of who you truly are. We extend this blessing to every being on the planet. And so it is. You are who?
I'm Oliver.
I'm Yolanda.
And together we are
The OK Blues.
Your sweet love away, but you stay right here beside me, never letting me go. Now I know the love I needed was right here all along. I know that love to forgive all the hurt and pain. Love is enough to remove all you can change. Love is enough to make up for what you made. I know that love is enough. God's love is enough. God's love is enough.